Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Agnes Czako. I'm the founder and CEO of Airex. We are in a mission to fight fuel poverty and climate change. We are a company here based in this lovely building in Sustainable Ventures. And we are working towards this mission through developing smart home solutions that help reducing heat demand without compromising air quality. So today, I'm going to share a few insights about why the retrofit challenge matters so much, and then also tell you a little bit about how we built our company so far, and why would anyone deliberately choose a seemingly complex, heavily regulated environment. And hopefully, by doing so, I would like to inspire other climate tech founders and potentially VCs to embrace regulation, because we need solutions to solve this enormous challenge. A little bit of a background, what brought me into brick and mortar. So that's me 13 years ago, conducting tens of thousands of fuel poverty surveys. And this was a shocking experience to see that people literally had to choose between buying food or heating their homes. And what was even more shocking is that this is happening right here in the UK, one of the most developed parts of the world. I'm originally from Hungary, where those conditions might be normal when I was growing up, but I never expected that in the UK. And that chart explains it quite well. It's the level of fuel poverty since 2010. To put it in context, it should have been fully eradicated by 2012, but the drop is very minor, and it's almost stagnating since 2019. So it's not, it's a quite depressing looking graph. And then this is coupled by the fact that the building retrofits, the buildings are responsible for 18% of our greenhouse gas emissions. And there are solutions such as heat pumps and PVs where the popular knowledge is starting to spread and there is more and more investment, but the building fabric is still underrated, and it shouldn't be. So we looked at a very specific area within the home first, which is air bricks. So might be familiar with bricks with holes in them to provide natural airflow. To ventilate the underfloor cavities. Is this right? Yeah, okay. And they are there for a reason, to make sure that there is no moisture buildup. But they could contribute to about 15% of a home's heat loss based on academic research. But blocking them is also not a solution, because it could cause damp and mold issues and risking people's health. So we developed a smart air brick solution that uses IoT sensors to monitor the environmental conditions, and it responsively regulates the airflow with a simple open or shut mechanism. Sounds straightforward, right? Now, the complication comes in with regulation. The built environment industry is the most heavily regulated industry in the world, but it needs to be, because consumer protection is #1 priority to avoid disasters like Grenfell tragedy, and the slightly less known incident in Preston, whereby a failed insulation caused serious black mold issues for hundreds of properties, and people needed to leave their homes. So it's really important to embrace regulation. But unfortunately for startups and for early stage companies, it's next to impossible to get through those hurdles, because you would need to comply with hundreds of different standards. A few reflections from our journey, we noticed a couple of patterns. One was the disjointed nature of the stakeholders within this journey. So we needed to talk to dozens of different regulators and government bodies, and there are some forward-thinking individuals within these organizations, but nobody knows who is the final key decision maker. So it's a little bit like the Spider-Man cartoon when people are pointing at each other. And then related to that, we learned that inaction is deemed less risky than action. So if I'm a regulator, if I don't do anything about it, nothing bad can happen. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, and we had to put in a lot of effort to highlight that actually inaction can be incredibly risky, because you're going to miss your fuel poverty targets, your carbon targets. So changing the paradigm from please help us to let us help you, let's work together for these, towards these common goals. One of the key milestones within this regulatory journey was our EPC recognition within the Energy Performance Certificate. It only took us 3 years, tens of millions of data points, and a lot of sweat and tear, but it was absolutely worth it because we managed to prove a significant savings impact. And parallel to that, there was a BBA certification. It's specific to the construction industry, but again, 2 years, rigorous validation. And so while we were doing this, VCs were looking at us impatiently and somewhat worryingly that what about growth? Where is the growth? Now, the good news is, once these barriers are removed, they actually turn into a regulatory tailwind, and we actually start on the growth trajectory. So since then, 20,000 Airex units have been commercially deployed, and that's equivalent with 20,000 tons of carbon emission reduction and a 5x year-on-year growth, but we are just getting started now. So I asked the question at the beginning, why would anyone want to choose the harder route? And so for us, it was a strategic choice because the market is scalable, the route is clear, once you're in, and because most importantly, it aligns with our social mission to support vulnerable customers. And I would like to end on a conclusion. So for VCs who might be hesitating about backing technologies that are operating in a regulatory environment, perhaps think about them as deep tech, even if the technology is not necessarily deep tech, but the level of validation that is required is quite similar. So it becomes a technology risk as opposed to a market risk. And once you tick the box for the technology risk, the floodgates are open and it becomes a no-brainer. And for startup founders, again, embrace regulation and go for it because the world absolutely needs solutions like yours because we need to solve this enormous challenge and we need to disrupt these dinosaur industries. And I genuinely believe that it's possible to do so. Thank you very much.